Hey everybody. I recently had a card class at my home, and one of the things that we created was this pocket tissue pack. This is a cute little idea to package up the little individual sets of tissues, and you can buy these pretty much anywhere. I happen to get these at Target. But this is cute to use for a sympathy gift or a get well soon gift. They're just kind of a fun way to give some tissues with it, just something little. So I'm going to show you today how to make that. We're going to start off with a piece of cardstock that is cut to 7 inches by 6 1/4 inches. I happen to be using mint macaron today. So we're going to pull our trimmer out. And we're going to put the cutting blade all the way to the bottom because we're going to just be using our score tool today. So I will be putting all these measurements down in the description below if you're on YouTube or at my blog, so you can get those written down. So we're going to start out on the 6 1/4 inch length at the top, and we're going to score this at 5 1/4 inches and again at 1 inch. So we're going to line that up with our guides and score that. And then we're going to turn this so that the 7 inch length is at the top. On the 7 inch length, we are going to score at 4 3/4 inches, again at 3 3/4 inches, and then at 1.5 inches, so 1.5 inches. Now, because if we try to move this over, we need to make a score at a 1/2 inch mark. If we try to move this over to the 1/2 inch, it's really hard to hold it in place and not have it slide around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cardstock and I'm going to rotate it completely around. We're going to line it up with that 1/2 inch mark that's on the right side of the cutting area on your trimmer. So line that up at the 1/2 inch mark and then just score it very quickly. So we're done with the trimmer on that. So now we're going to take our paper snips and we're going to start snipping the tabs and things for this. So what we're going to start doing is this 1 inch section that's scored here in the center. We're going to cut the tabs on each end of this. So we're going to cut along those score marks all the way to that score that's right there in the center. So then go to the next and just free that tab out. Rotate it around, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Is just cut it in and cut it in. Now I like to go back and I like to make just a little angle cut on each of these. It removes some of the bulk along the sides of these tabs, and it will help to make our folds neater when we go to put this together. Cut those. Okay, so now we're going to work on the top portion of this, and you have several sections here. You have a larger section right here, you have this 1 inch section here, and then you have this 1/2 inch section here. And on each side you have the 1 inch sections. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut along the score marks on either side and cut in. So you're making your tabs go 2 different directions with this. It's going to help to offer a little bit of stability to the box, but when you see how it closes up, it's also going to help cover those corners so you don't have any gaps. So we've cut those 2 1 inch sections there. Now we can cut this little 1/2 inch piece that's on top of that tab just completely off. It does not need to be there. You only need that 1/2 inch section on the main body of your box. So cut that off the tabs. And then again, we're going to go in and angle cut our tabs. I'm also going to angle cut this tiny 1/2 inch section so that it will fold down. Okay, so we've got all our pieces to that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to sharpen our creases with everything. So we're just going to fold everything in. I'm going to come back with my bone folder and just make sure that all those creases are nice and clean. Again, that helps you to get your box to square off if you have a good clean crease with it. Next thing that we're going to work on is we're going to put the space in the box that the tissues can feed through. And the easiest way that I have found to do that actually uses my layering squares framelits. I take the largest, just standard square, no scallops on it, just the standard square, and I take a little bit of Post-it tape. And before I put this on my paper, I make sure I put that against my inner wrist, just so that it takes some of the sticky off. We don't want it to stick to our cardstock. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to fold our box in half. You've got that 1/2 inch flap that keeps it from being perfectly in half, but if you were to tuck that in, it's completely in half. And along the side where you have the 1 inch at the top, you're going to line up your framelit. So I just like to eyeball it. I'm going to put my Post-it tape down, and then you're going to take this and you're going to run it through your Big Shot. So I'm going to go do that and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back and I've run that through my Big Shot. So we're just going to take that section out. So you see that has cut a little rectangle out for you. And then we're going to take this die off. Be very careful when you're peeling off this Post-it tape. You want to make sure that it doesn't tear your cardstock at all. And sometimes the pressure of running through the Big Shot can actually make it adhere really strongly. So now we've got our little box so far. So what we're going to do is this section that is still intact, we're going to adhere some DSP onto that. So I have this that I have cut out of the paisley set. So I'm going to adhere that down with a little bit of snail. And these are cut to 2 inches by 4 inches to fit on here. Now the problem that we have with this other section, when we go to put the paper on, you've got a hole that you're covering up there. So what I like to do is I'll put my paper where I think it's gonna need to be center-wise, but then I line it up against that crease. And what that's gonna do is when I trace this and cut this out, that'll give me that gap that I need under the window. So I flipped it over and I'm gonna now trace on the back side of the DSP my angles where I need to cut. So if you can see, it's kind of hard on that dark, but there's a little square there that'll tell me where to cut out. So I'm just gonna use my snips to do this very quick. So if you want to leave a gap on the sides as well when you're doing this, what you can do is instead of cutting right exactly with the lines like I'm doing here, so this is if I cut right exactly with the line. What you can do is just cut just a little bit over to the side and extend that out. That'll give you that nice little frame of the cardstock color around the outside of the DSP. Otherwise, these two sides would line up perfectly with the window. You'd still have that gap at the bottom, so you'd still have a gap along here. You just wouldn't along the sides. But now when we go to line it up, we're gonna have a little gap around all the sides. So we're going to add some adhesive And I want to make sure to put a little bit of adhesive up those sides that are kind of popping up so that those stay down. Okay, that's adhered down. Now we're going to start assembling our box. So I'm going to start with these center tabs and fold them in. I'm going to use a little bit of green glue, this Tombow, to hold this together. So I'm going to put that on the inside of the tab. And then I'm folding that up against the section that does not have the flap on the end. So we're going into this section first. And we're just going to put that down and square up our corner as we're going. Make sure you've got your edge of your cardstock right up against the fold of the crease. That'll help. Sorry, I got a new camera mount. I'm still figuring out exact angles with it. So again, fold it. Make sure that lines up. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to fold this section up and over, and we're going to glue down along the length. So that's going to all glue together to form the side of our tissue box. Just going to add a little glue and just fold that over, and again just make sure that the seam matches up with your fold, your corner there on the box. And again on the other side. Great part about this is because you got that window you can stick your thumb through, so you have a little bit more ability to hold it together as you're getting that glue to set. So now you have your box. You can fold those flaps in and just fold this down. You don't have to seal this shut. You can if you want to. I happen to like to leave it open because then you can replace the tissues that are in it. So with the tissues that I purchased, these open towards the side here, so that's what opens up. So what I like to do is lift the sticker and pull it around, and you can see how I'm kind of just angling it and tucking it under so that it sticks to the back side there. That way there's nothing sticky that's going to show when you're trying to put this in the box. So then you can just slide it in. It is a little tight, I will tell you that. I made it intentionally that way because the bulk of the tissues is going to help to support the box if it's in your purse or something like that. So then you can close it up. And as I said, if you wanted to just seal this up permanently, you can just put a little piece of tape or something along that flap to hold it. But that's the basic box. You can decorate it up now like you would like. So now you have your Kleenex boxes. You can decorate it up or leave it plain and just like that. Anyway, I hope that you found this helpful. I hope you'll try this project. If you do, please tag me in your social media posts. I can be found at Facebook or Instagram at Much Love Sara. Thanks for watching. Much love to you all. Bye.